Hey guys, Matty Maher coming to you live from Pro Swing of Portchester. Coaches, pay attention. Today we're going to do a tip for you guys. It's going to be how to give signs, okay? I know you probably have your own signs and you've probably done it. I'm just going to give you a couple basic tips how to not be confused. Why do we give base signals? We want to give a signal to the hitter or the runner for them to execute a play that you, the coach, want. What's the worst thing that can happen? They miss a sign. Never like to see that. These are going to be a couple tips that'll help you to ensure that your players don't miss signs. We'll break it up into levels. You have elementary school, you kind of got your middle school players, then you got your high school and college guys. At the elementary school level, it's very basic. You just want your youngsters to kind of get and receive the signals and be able to execute. Middle school, they get a little more complex. At the high school level and the college level, you don't want your signs to be stolen. They need to be unique, yet concise, yet simple. All right guys, so starting with the most basic level, little leaguers, if you want real basic signs, work with Mnemonic Devices. What will kids remember? The only signs you're probably going to give are bunts, steals, and hit and runs. And even that might be a little advanced. Think of a mnemonic device. Bunt starts with a B. Maybe you want to use your belt. Simple, easy to remember. Steal, an S. Maybe a sleeve, maybe sliding your hand somewhere. Hit and run, if I was wearing a cap or a hat, hit and run can be a hat. Whatever it is, I'd say make it simple. Now, as we get a little more advanced and we want runners to pay attention and hitters to pay attention, and we don't want our signs to be stolen, we need to become a little more unique, but not convoluted. This is valuable information here, and I think it's really going to help you out with signs. 13U, 14U, 15U, even high school coaches. If I cut a line down the middle of my body, I'd be perfectly symmetrical. Don't rely only on symmetry for signs, meaning if you have an indicator, don't say only the right side of my face, or only the left side of my face. My right arm is live, my left arm is not live. Remember, when a kid's looking at you for a sign, he's flipped around. So if you touch the left, he might think right. Keep it basic. If you want indicators, use hats, nose, mouths, chest. If you're gonna use arm or face, use the entire face. Have a hot zone instead of an indicator. If you touch any part of your face, it may be your hot zone. Once you hit it, everything's live. Keep it simple, but it's still complex enough that they won't get stolen. Another important tip, have a repeat sign. What does that mean? That means you call a hit and run. Hit and run's on. Kid fouls the ball off. What happens now? The base runner doesn't know if the play's still on. The hitter doesn't know if the play's still on. So you do the sign again. He fouls it off again. You do the sign again. All of a sudden the other team says, wow, I know exactly what the hit and run sign is. Don't do that. Have a sign. If there's a foul ball, if there's a pickoff, if there's anything, have a repeat sign. Touch the head, touch the chest. They both know it's back on. To go along with your repeat sign, always have a wipe-off sign. Say, for instance, you call a steal, the guy fouls the ball off, but everyone in the park knew he was stealing. You don't want him to go again. Give him a cuff. Give him some kind of sign that means nothing is on, we're starting fresh, now focus on me. Now coaches, in practice, this is extremely important. You want your guys to all memorize the signs. Do not give them a sign and then let them raise their hands and say, oh, I know what that was. Don't. Pick out one of your players. Pick them out one by one and say, Timmy, what am I doing? Why? It puts them on the spot and they need to know the answer. Just like in a game, when they're stepping up at the plate, they're not going to have one of their teammates raise their hand and tell them what the sign is. They're on the spot. They need to understand the sign. So remember, when you're practicing, no raising of hands. Pick them out, do a sign, make him say what it is. If he doesn't know, he wasn't going to know anyway. All right, now coaches, players aren't the only ones who need to practice. You need to practice. How do you do this? It may sound silly, I know, but go home and look in the mirror. Give yourself signs in the mirror. Why? I have seen so many coaches get their signs stolen and they have no idea why. I have a good idea why. You're blatantly obvious with your signs. What does that mean? Say a swipe across the chest is a steal. I'll see coaches doing the same thing and do something extremely blatant because they really want their kid to know, so they'll overemphasize that sign. No, if your team knows the signs and they're unique and they're simple, then they'll get the sign. Don't overcompensate by making a big move or hot zone, leaning forward to show something. The only way you know if you're not being obvious is to see yourself doing it. Stand in the mirror, videotape yourself. It is extremely important. You don't want signs stolen and you don't want signs missed. All right, coaches, we gave you a crash course on how to give signs. I didn't give you specific signs of what's the best to do. You pick your signs and you make them your own. Just make sure your team knows, especially with that tip of picking people out on the spot. And remember, when giving signs, you want to be precise, be consistent with your movements, and don't be convoluted with anything. Thanks for watching Pro Swing's Tip of the Week. Tune in next week for another tip that's going to make you a better coach.